The executive and the legislature synergize in the battle to combat coronavirus and tackle insecurity. Chairman Nigeria's Governors Forum at the State House to discuss state of the nation. Some Nigeria political parties advocate the involvement of communities in security surveillance and policing to ensure peace and security in the rural areas. Also on political update today, some party stakeholders demand extension of the APC registration exercise. We also have something of a face-off between local and foreign journalists on objective reportage of the Nigerian state. I'm Fisai Ogunfui. Welcome. In a bid to control and contain the coronavirus pandemic and stem the tide of insecurity bedeviling the country, President Muhammadu Buhari has held strategic engagement with the leadership of the National Assembly on the best way forward. The president also received the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi, in the State House on the state of the nation.
This is the second time President Muhammadu Buhari is formally engaging presiding officers of the National Assembly in the last 2 months, and third for the year 2021. And just like the previous ones, discussions on the state of the nation were held behind closed doors. As Senate President Ahmed Lawan explained after the meeting that lasted more than 1 hour, ways and means of ensuring adequate funding for the battle against insecurity and COVID-19 were major areas of focus.
Both the executive and legislative arms believe that we should have supplementary budget to provide for funding of the COVID-19 vaccination in Nigeria, as well as providing more resources and platforms to our security agencies. And today, I'm sure in Nigeria there are no more grave issues than COVID-19 and the security situation in the country. And I want to take this opportunity to say that the security situation is gradually improving, and I'm sure that when we'll have more resources to our security agencies, we'll see even faster recovery of our situation. I believe that we had a very good discussions and interaction with Mr. President along those lines.
The presiding officers of the National Assembly also used the opportunity to reassure the nation of their commitment to the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill.
The PIB is probably the most essential legislation we'll have to pass, because this is going to change the entire economic scope of Nigeria. There will be more resources, foreign direct investment flowing into the country, and more certainty. That is even essential. That you can come to Nigeria and invest in the oil industry because there is a legal framework that regulates the entire environment.
We made a commitment to the Nigerian people, and that commitment is end of April. But let me just add that, give or take 2-3 weeks, like you said, maybe mid-May only because at the time the commitment was made, we didn't take into cognizance the fact of Easter break, and Ramadan is coming up as well. We're still going for end of April.
Discussions between President Muhammadu Buhari and the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum and Governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi, also centered on national security.
Mr. President has almost nitty-gritty detail of what's going on in every state, and he has even more information than we do on these issues, as I discovered in my conversation with him. So he is clearly committed to doing more in terms of procurement of equipment and platforms for the military, particularly to support the new leadership that has just come on stream, and also working with the states to find the best way of stemming the tide of our current insecurity challenges. There are responsibilities that we have at our level in the state. There are also responsibilities that the federal government has to attend to. If we all do our part, clearly we believe that we will see the end of these challenges.
Issues relating to food sufficiency and security, as well as the unhealthy relationship between herders and farmers in parts of the country, were also analyzed at the meeting.
President Muhammadu Buhari insists that all citizens of the country have a stake in the Nigeria project and must play a part not only in its unity, peace and progress, but constantly keep faith with the promise of a greater nation. The president made his remarks while participating via a virtual platform during this year's Bola Ahmed Tinubu colloquium held in Kano.
The colloquium 12 in the series had as its theme, Our Bond, Our Commonwealth, the imperative of national cohesion for growth and prosperity. President Muhammadu Buhari described it as a fitting reflection of the service that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has given not only to Lagos, Nigeria, and indeed Africa, but also his continuing commitment and influence as one of the greatest pillars of the governing APC.
Asiwaju is a known advocate of unity and cohesion in Nigeria. This has been a constant factor in his outstanding political career. I think the lessons of this colloquium are clear. Our very best course of conduct, whether as leaders and citizens, is to now ensure that justice and harmony reigns in Nigeria, to devote the resources of our country solely to its development and for the benefit of all our citizens, and in the process to ensure that every Nigerian feels comfortable in every part of Nigeria.
The president said, despite occasional inter-ethnic tensions in Nigeria's national history, one thing is certain: the citizens are not only counting their blessings in Nigeria, but also seeing in them the crucial factor of peace and unity.
I can also relate personally to the ideals of one Nigeria. As a military officer, I have served with great comrades from all the nooks and crannies of our country. I have seen over and over again that their goodness or failings do not depend on ethnicity or religion. I have also been opportune to serve in all parts of Nigeria, seeing firsthand the enticing possibilities of a strong, united nation. More importantly, I fought for the unity of Nigeria during the civil war. The peacekeeping, recovery, and reconstruction that followed could also not have succeeded under an atmosphere of inter-ethnic animosity. We must constantly keep faith with the promise of a greater Nigeria.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who also spoke at the event, poured encomiums on Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his statesmanship and selflessness in service to the nation and humanity.
Because he is not afraid of having his ideas scrutinized, criticized by even his subordinates. He is able to lead a vast array of persons of strong, deeply held convictions and a variety of ideologies. He is completely comfortable engaging across ethnic, religious, and partisan divides.
The colloquium is put together to commemorate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 69th birthday.
Moving on now, the national chairman of the Action Democratic Party, Yabagi Sani, is advocating for consideration the involvement of local communities in security surveillance and policing, such as the use of hunters and local vigilantes, have proved to have some rewards in recent times. Some of the other political parties are also calling for sanctions on any party leader whose supporters are found culpable for criminal activities.
Banditry, kidnapping and other violent crimes across the country, the Action Democratic Party says it aligns with the clamor for the decentralization of the Nigeria Police Force, with states and local councils having their police formations as obtained in most countries of the modern world.
Now that the National Assembly has embarked on another effort at constitutional amendment, the ADP calls on the lawmakers to consider amending relevant sections of the law on the police.
National Chairman of the African Action Congress, who also chairs the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Dr. Leonard Ezenwa, and the presidential candidate of the People's Trust in the 2019 general elections, Gbenga Olawepo Hashim, are calling on all patriotic Nigerians to unite and forestall what they described as very tempting campaign by desperate forces of separation to break up Nigeria.
What we ask every Nigerian is that this country has got to be one first before you have politics.
Our ethnicity and diversity is not the problem. What we need to fix are the challenges our country faces.
They also explains that a united Nigeria still remains the best alternative.
To the topic of the day, there have been considerable strides in domestic production of commodities across Nigeria. Agricultural loans and focus on extension services to boost production. However, the greatest threat to a viable sector may not be the linkages, but rather insecurity. Honorable Richard Bande, representing Katsina Ala, Okum and Logo Federal Constituency of Benue State, joins us today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
A lot of people say that region, that particular federal constituency is perhaps even one of the main reasons why Benue is called the food basket. The first question is, are we expecting bumper harvest this year?
Thank you. As you rightly said, Benue State is a hub of food for the country. We also house the biggest yam market in the world. If we recall that His Excellency, the Vice President of our country, commissioned the yam market last year. And if we move around the yam market, hundreds of lorries of trucks of yams are moved from that point to the world on a daily basis. I would have said yes, we are going to ensure bumper harvest. But because of insecurity in our country, you know, as an agrarian community, we farmed. And now that the insecurity has actually taken the center stage, it is a major problem. Insecurity is a serious threat to life and property. It discourages businesses and also minimizes both local and foreign investors. As I'm speaking to you, even this morning, the bandits have killed a reverend father in a good center in Katsina local government and other people. It is on a daily basis. Within a period of 1 month, they have even killed the elder brother of Senator Suswam. So these are the major challenges that are disturbing, not only to us, but it's a threat for food security in our country.
Let's look at some years ago, about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we passed that road down from Boko, moving up to Zaki Biam. And I understand at that corridor, we just make a left and get into Taraba. But it was a hub at the time. Is it still lively? And what measures are you having to make sure at least there's some confidence for the farmers really to go to the farm and make sure that we don't suffer any kind of food insecurity?
Well, thank you. It is still a passionate appeal to government. They have doing their best. I believe the security agencies are working, but they have to double their efforts. They have to use modern techniques of intelligence gathering and sharing among the security operatives, deploy all the attacks and advanced technologies so that at the end of the day, there will be verifiable results and the people will have confidence in what they're doing so that at the end of the day, there will be peace and tranquility for the people. And once this is done, believe you me, we are going to ensure bumper harvest. Because we have been in the game for quite some time, we have discovered even new cultivars that if properly planted, at the end of the day, we harvest in tons.
A few years ago, there was this value chain that was being advertised in terms of even preserving the yams and making them, viable for export in large quantity. Where is that now, that initiative?
Well, thank you. It is growing at a geometrical rate. And below you mean, as a Vice Chairman, Outstanding Committee of Commerce, last week we conducted a public hearing to amend or repeal the sections that place yams and other food crops on ban list, and it was well conducted. Very soon the report will be submitted. Food crops like yams, cassava, sorghum, coffee will be removed on the ban list. This is to tell the whole world and Nigerians that we are working, most especially people who are zoomed in cultivating yams. It was on the ban list. Whatever we were doing of exporting yams was and still illegal, but what we have done, believe you me, in a very near future, we are going to remove yams.
Technology-wise, are we there now? Because I understand that one of the major problems is trying to dewater the yam so that it doesn't, have any problems while it's crossing the ocean.
Yes, they're on it.
All right, we'll come back to your constituency very shortly, but let's take some stories. A body of Nigeria's veteran journalists is leading a conversation to change the narrative of biased reporting of the nation, especially on the global stage. Let's hear more.
The recent scenarios that played out on the face of social unrest, triggered by NSA's protest and the rise of divisive tendencies threatening the peaceful development of the country, informed this brainstorming session. This coming together of media professionals from the print and broadcast industry, including Executive Director News NTA Mohammed Labo, provoked thought that centered on the principle of objectivity against foreign practice that exacerbate tension.
Foreign correspondents come here and only look at the negative aspect of how the army operates or how the locals are dealing with the situation. Most of the time we have our reporters there, but we rely more on foreign journalists.
Stakeholders say journalism in Nigeria should be part of the peace-building process of stabilizing our shores for the return of sanity in every sphere of life, with priority to quality editorial judgment.
The way we send the message across to the citizens speaks volume.
It is a moral burden on us as media practitioners and as journalists to make sure that we de-escalate this issue.
Let's come up with concrete solutions on how we can help the security situation in this country.
Nigeria's situation, these veterans note that, is better managed than allowed to deteriorate, as a nation of more than 200 million population can only wallow in unimaginable consequences during conflict. The challenge before Nigerian journalists here is to de-escalate conflict arising from mutual distrust and other primordial sentiment, as well as promote peace and sustainable development, which is the hallmark of national integration.
Now, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, says it has not taken any decision on any of the recommendations proposed by the Senator Bala Mohammed-led PDP committee on the review of the 2019 elections.
The Senator Bala Mohammed Committee on the review of the 2019 elections was to identify factors that contributed to the party's failure in that presidential election and as well profile the way forward. The PDP notes that the recommendations will be subjected to its democratic process by relevant organs of the party and consultation.
It starts from today. We must sink our differences.
Meanwhile, a pro-Igbo for President group ahead of the 2023 general elections is asking the People's Democratic Party to trash the Governor Bala Mohammed-led committee report, which recommends the scrapping of zoning in the 2023 general elections.
Since we have decided to be a country, let us have one.
In another development, the National Reconciliation and Strategy Committee of the People's Democratic Party has recommended that any aspirant seeking to contest for elective position on the platform of the party who is under the age of 35 should be exempted from the payment of nomination fees. Chairman of the committee and former Senate President Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki made a recommendation to Prince Uche Secondus, the PDP national chairman.
A coalition of concerned stakeholders and leaders of various state chapters of the All Progressives Party have appealed, Congress, have appealed for an extension of the ongoing membership registration and revalidation exercise.
That's why are here to present a letter of appeal to the committees that they should please allow the registration to continue rather than ending it in the next couple of days. Because as we speak today, some people are turning 18 years and they want to be APC members. They can still be APC member, but they should sustain the campaign as it is now.
I will transmit your letter to the national chairman.
Thank you, sir.
My duty is to transmit it to the national chairman. He will table it before the caretaker committee for consideration. Thank you for peaceful demonstration. You have a right to air your opinion, just like any other people.
Are you still watching Political Update on the Nigerian Television Authority? Getting ready for the home run now, and we still have Honorable Richard Bande of Katsina Ala, Ukum and Logo Federal Constituency. I did it in the right way in terms of listing of those areas. But let's come to you personally. And we've seen efforts in the past, especially in terms of value chain in those agrarian communities. In particular, what have you been able to do to alleviate the challenges that your people have faced, and perhaps even help them to achieve more in terms of their crops and products?
Well, thank you. First and foremost, education is a potent weapon for national development, and have constructed blocks of classrooms across the 3 local governments that I represent. And I believe with the classrooms, it will enhance and create an enabling environment for children to learn and take over when they are full grown to adult. I also sunk some boreholes across my geopolitical area. I involve my people in a lot of empowerment programs, like giving them sewing machines and others. But most importantly, to add value to our yams and even cassava, as somebody who is from a place that is a hub of yams and cassava for the country. My zonal intervention centered on construction of yam flour industry, and it is ongoing.
Yam flour?
Yes, which I believe will add value to our yams.
Won't it make it costlier for us, some of us who prefer to have those yams and fry them by ourselves?
No, thank you. Because of the new technologies, I believe we have enough for local and home consumption and for the industry.
How far has it gone, the yam flour center now?
No, it was narrowed, our warehouses will narrow it, and they have advertised it, and very soon, in the next 1 month or so, they are going to begin the project.
All right, for the past half an hour, we've had Honorable Richard Bande of Katsina Logo, Ukum and Logo Federal Constituency talking about peace, talking about insecurity, and of course efforts to alleviate some of the challenges there, as well as improving the different points of the value chains, especially talking about our roots and tubers, that is cassava and yam. Thank you very much for coming, and thank you for watching our political updates for today. Don't forget, Nigerian Television Authority is Africa's largest and finest, where we give you the very best of news, reviews, previews, and interviews. My name is Fisai Ogunfe, thanking you for watching and hoping that you play your politics for the greater good of the nation. Bye-bye now.